How's it going, Indie Witches? Thank you guys so much for having me do this Q&A and this feature, and for supporting female musicians everywhere. My name is Marielle Kraft, and I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm currently based outside of Philly, here in Delaware. And I'm so excited to tell you more about what I do and who I am. So your first question was, how long have you been making music? So really, I've only been doing this music career full-time for almost a year. I was actually a full-time teacher first. I taught 6th grade English when I graduated college, and I was coaching every afternoon, and then pretty much every weekend I would travel and play shows. So at the end of last school year, in 2018 in the summer, I made the choice to step away from teaching and pursue music as a singer-songwriter full-time. And it's been the craziest, most rewarding and amazing and challenging adventure of my life, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. So in terms of making music though, I started playing guitar really around age 16 and then writing songs sort of when I got to college. I would say that's when my songwriting really picked up. But it was really only ever casual, just something to express how I'm feeling and just some thoughts in my head until, this past year or two when I started taking it more seriously, putting out music that I produced in the studio, and then finally playing shows and going on tour. So relatively it's a new thing for me, but I love it more than anything in my life. Your second question was, what is my inspiration behind my new single, Better Without You? So Better Without You is a song I just put out this past May on the 17th. And Better Without You was really written at a time when I moved back to Delaware just this past fall, since going to college here a few years ago. And coming back to a familiar place after you haven't been in a while, you can really be hit with a flood of so many memories and emotions associated with those streets and with those coffee shops and with those places. And for me, so many of those memories revolved around a relationship that had since ended since I had been here in Delaware. And it was really hard to be back, kind of being hit with all the same very visceral moments that I've tried to put behind me. And I really wanted to make sure that this time that I was in Delaware, it would be different. I wanted to rewrite my narrative, and it wouldn't be defined by my past relationship, but instead of my future dreams and new opportunities and different ambitions. So I sat down and wrote this song as a promise to myself that I would become a better version of who I am every single day, despite being in some of the same places and seeing some of the same people. I'm going to be better this time in Delaware without who I was before, without who I was with before. So yeah, it's much more of like a positive anthem of moving forward rather than like a cheeky, revengeful breakup song. It's really much more about empowerment rather than bitterness. But yeah, check it out. It's called Better Without You. Your third question is, who are you currently listening to? Oh man, I'm listening to so many people. I feel like there's so much good music coming out right now. Songwriting for me is why I do music. So I listen to a lot of songwriters who I think have a way with words that I really look up to. So one of those is, of course, Julian Michaels, who's tearing up the songwriting scene right now. I really love an artist named Betty Who. She's an amazing pop singer, but also is a really, really meaningful songwriter. So she doesn't do vapid pop. She really does meaningful pop, which I think is so important, and that's what I strive to do too. I think another young songwriter right now, Alec Benjamin, he and his way with words truly it blows me away. Almost every time he puts something out, he is so unique in his rhymes and his songwriting patterns that I'm listening to him a ton right now. And I think finally there's an artist named Maisie Peters. She's in the UK, and I think she's like 21, maybe 20, but she's so clever with her songwriting, and I look up to her so much, and her melodies are insane. So that's Maisie Peters. But yeah, those are just some people that I listen to and get inspired by all the time. So question number 4 was favorite book. This is such a good question for me because I taught 6th grade English, and so reading and writing is a huge part of my life. I think my favorite book right now is a book called Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. It's such a thoughtful book about really the state of our country and how even if we're all American, we can grow up in very, very different places with different privileges and different lenses on the world, and be treated in different ways, both unfairly and fairly. And I think it shines a really amazing behind the scenes look on how, me growing up as a white woman in a privileged community has a very different worldview than somebody who didn't get those same opportunities or have that same cultural experience. So I've learned so much from that book, and it's really made me self-reflect on my role in society and with my relationships with people who look and act and identify differently than I do. So, Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. Question number 5, what advice do you have for other women in the industry? I think my biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid to take up space. There are going to be so many people who tell you that you are not pretty enough, you are not poppy enough, you shouldn't write all of your own songs because you're too emotional, you are not good enough at your instrument, proficient enough, you don't have a strong enough voice, you don't have a good enough leadership. All of these are ways to minimize you, and they are wrong and they're false, and they should never be believed by you because you're here for a reason and you're pursuing this dream just as legitimately as everybody else. And I would just say never be afraid to take up the space that you are rightfully given and have earned, because people deserve to see you, and the harder you work, the more that's going to pay off for you. Question number 6. Any upcoming shows and best place for fans to follow you? Yes, I'm actually on tour right now. So I just dropped an EP last week. It's called The Deep End. It's my first studio-produced EP. I'm so proud of it. I wrote all those songs, and they really tell a very true story of my life the last couple of years. So I'm on a tour right now with my full band to celebrate the release of that EP. So those tickets are available now on mariellekraft.com/tour. Otherwise, though, I would love to connect with you all over social media. Marielle Kraft is everything where you can find me. So Instagram, Twitter @Marielle Kraft, Facebook /Marielle Kraft, mariellekraft.com, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, anywhere you find music, just Marielle Kraft, and my new EP is called The Deep End. I hope you like what you hear. Indie Witches, thank you so much for having me. This has been so awesome. Thanks for the feature, and for all the ways you support indie musicians, especially the female ones. We need you, and we need all of you listening and supporting as well. So thank you so much. I'm Marielle Kraft, and hope to see you soon.